Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Dominic, aka Dom the Cyber Genius, and I'm coming back to you guys with another video. This video is going to be based on a report I put together regarding the Stanford University data breach incident and how it's affecting a good amount of their students. So I just wanted to show you guys what happened and how universities and schools continue to be targeted by ransomware as well as other threat actors. So let's get into it. So as you see here on the left, this is my cyber threat intelligence report. On the right is going to be the actual Stanford data breach article. So it was stated that last week, Stanford University did announce they suffered a data breach. They also sent out notifications to warn the campus of the impact. That's a good thing. At least they're not keeping it hidden. And they're actually notifying people to make sure that they're prepared for what's going to happen in the future. They did say that the files that were stolen or contained in the data breach were economics PhD program admission information. I'm gonna get into why that was so bad or what type of information within that was so, I guess, secretive or sensitive to where it could be used for, multiple attacks within the threat actor's hands if they get it. Those They said that those files were downloaded between December 2022 and January 2023. I don't know if they just noticed that they suffered a data breach. There's times, or it's pretty common to where a company will get breached. They won't know they got breached, and then months later they'll find out that they actually were breached. So I don't know if they just found out recently that they suffered a security incident, or they already knew back in December of 2022. They did say that in late January of this year, the university was notified that the incident happened due to a misconfiguration of folder settings. So I'm guessing that the files were stored in a folder and that they didn't have the right permissions, so the files or the settings within that were misconfigured, which then allowed the attacker to access it. They were saying that due to the misconfiguration of the folder files, it contained the 2022 to 2023 applicants' admissions to the Department of Economics PhD. And they were saying that this program, or not the program, these files were actually available through the department's website. So that's something that shouldn't really be on the department's website. That should be sacred. That should be only stored within the department's security or computer systems. It shouldn't really be on the actual website to where anybody can access it. So because of those permissions and because they weren't being careful with these files, they now got stolen because they were basically available for the public on the web. That's one thing that threat actors like to do when it comes to penetration testers or even just a regular threat actor. We're trying to look for certain things that may be available on the company's website, right? We're trying to find information that shouldn't be there, any hidden directories that shouldn't be up, or anything that refers to even files that shouldn't be, disclosed to the public. So that's what they were looking for, and that's what they were able to actually do. The data that was disclosed, which is why this is personal identifiable information and why this is very sensitive, and what I'm going to get into later down in the report, is they said that the information included users' names, date of births, home and mailing addresses, phone numbers, emails, citizenship, race, and ethnicity. And sorry, I butchered that word. It's early in the morning, but as well as their gender. So that's a lot of stuff that a threat actor knows about somebody and can use for attacks later on. As far as the TTPs go for, I would say one of the biggest things is impact. So this is data manipulation, data destruction. So when they get a hold of these pieces of information, they may be able to manipulate users into giving out more information, as well as committing fraudulent acts with that data and getting the victims in trouble. Reconnaissance. So I did gather victim identity information and fishing for information. As you see, things like names, date of birth, home and mailing addresses, those were all stolen within the data breach, and or at least access through the data breach. And the reason why I put phishing for information is that this is enough information to actually conduct phishing attacks, right? So they're able to gain a rap report and do reconnaissance on you, gather a lot of information with the date of births, the genders, and the email addresses, as well as the home and mailing addresses, and they can start using that to target certain students within the campus and start, targeting them using these phishing attacks and in reality just going crazy with it, and maybe even getting the users that are affected or the victims that are affected, getting them to click on phishing links as well as interact with the threat actor even more and give up more of their personal information. Resource development, I had compromised accounts, compromised infrastructure. This is a compromise in Stanford University's infrastructure. The files are in plain sight. They were on the department's website. So that's definitely a compromise. And the whole department of economics was compromised and had the students 2022 to 2023 application records stolen. Credential access, so exploitation for credentials and unsecured credentials. I just put this because to be honest, I don't even know why I really put this. I felt like it was just something where they're stealing information and they may try to use that information to steal users' credentials. They could at least get a username for some of these things, maybe try to log into some of the people's accounts. And then it's up to them to kind of brute force their password or do things like that. But I figured that was that, as well as unsecured credentials. I kind of put unsecured credentials with just the information that wasn't secured at the time and that was open to the public. Privilege escalation, they were trying to get access to the, all the admissions portal, right? So they were able to get these records, get all this classified information, and then basically escalate their privileges to that to where they have access to it. Exfiltration over C2 channel or exfiltration for the tactic. I put this because they gotta exfiltrate the data somehow. They most likely use some sort of a C2 channel to be able to exfiltrate or gather the information and then get it to the threat actor's control. And then lastly, the last two I have is initial access, so valid accounts. And then I have what is it, collection, so data from local system. The reason why I have this is because it was, I would say, locally stored. It was stored on the developer's website and people had access to it on the web, so they were able to just collect data from that local system, which was I believe the department's website, and because of it they were able to steal all that personal information. Next is going to be affected assets and organizational impact. Like how I said again, how it was ranging from the date of birth to the home and mailing addresses to the phone numbers to the email addresses to even people's citizenship and race as well as their gender. This is all sensitive information that was exposed. I classify this and it is classified as personal identifiable information. So that's PII. So that's any type of information that can identify who you are and tell people, hey, this is the life that I actually live, or this is who I say I am, right? With them having a lot of this information already, threat actors now have enough data to start committing fraudulent acts under the victims' names, as well as conduct phishing attacks that I mentioned earlier. This incident does come after another one. Stanford did suffer a previous incident. This was back in April 2021. And this is where I believe, Flop ransomware gang leaked documents that were stolen from Stanford School of Medicine, Asilian file transfer appliance platform. This is crazy to think about, and this is what's going to tie me into my last thing, which is my mitigation and response. Luckily, the university did state that no financial or any social security info were exposed. So that's a good thing to actually know, even though that some material submitted during the actual application process included that, they did say that that financial data was not exposed due to the application files not actually containing that data. As soon as Stanford did get a whiff of the attacker incident and they were informed about it, they immediately blocked access to those files. At the moment of the discovery, the university stated that they did not see any misuse of the information. There hasn't been that much, I guess, talk about it. Hasn't been a lot more information given about the incident. I know BB Computer did state they were trying to get in touch with a spokesperson, but they were unsuccessful with that. But this just goes to show that the incident that took place, it does mark the second one Stanford has suffered in the last, I think, 2 to 3 years. And it also goes to show that the education sector will continue and will always be a global target for threat actors because one, they know that cybersecurity isn't their top priority, and two, they know that they can't afford to lose all the data, so they're most likely to pay the ransom. They don't have enough money or they don't put enough resources behind cybersecurity in order to protect the school systems. And because of that, threat actors jump at it like piranhas and sharks swimming for blood. And in that case, they're able to just attack the actual schools, and they know that the schools can't, fight off these type of attacks. They know that they're kind of strong, and that because of it, they're forced to pay the ransom because all that data is pretty sensitive, and they don't have enough resources to actually recover that data. So that's what I feel like is the reason why these threat actors go after these universities and why the universities continue to get hit because they're not stepping up their systems. I feel like this is why NIST frameworks and a good security team is very, very crucial for schools not to be impacted by these type of data breaches. We've seen in the past where schools have actually shut down due to the severity of the incident because they couldn't handle it. And the amount of data that was stolen was too much to where they couldn't even afford a ransom or they couldn't even afford to just recover that data. So we have to be very careful when it comes to our schools. Our schools educate us in certain ways. We already know that education system isn't where it's needed to be, and the security system shouldn't be like that either. So hopefully you guys learned something today, and hopefully that schools start, hiring people outside, hiring firms to, give them security awareness as well as go through, NIST framework compliance and making sure that everything is caught up and where it's needed to be. And I hope that in the future schools can start protecting themselves a lot better. Hope you guys liked and enjoyed my video. Hope you guys again learned something today. Let me know what you want to see next. And I'm out. Peace.